He's probably the best centre forward I ever played with, and I played with Shearer, and I mean his goal scoring record talks for itself. Wrighty had every goal in the locker.
Wayne played for the love of the game, his love for football and his will to win. So whatever the team needed, whether it was track the fullback, play on the left wing or the right wing, and stop their best player, he would do that.
Anybody who's got the nickname of Psycho, you're not going to look forward to playing against, are you?
No, he also was very good as an attacking fullback.
He was always a bit criticised for falling too quick, and he did this dive, and immediately he was into the heart of defence.
I mean, another guy you played with a lot, obviously, was Ian Wright. He's got an opinion, right? He hasn't he? Did he always? What was he like in the dressing room?
He was the most enthusiastic football player I ever played with. Like, if he scored in training on a Monday morning, you'd have thought he'd just scored the winning goal against Tottenham. Honestly, he would run off, slide on his knees. He enjoyed it. I've never seen him come into training with the ump. He always loved playing football. He's got to be one of the best finishers I've seen. He was unique to other people. People will go, Alan Shearer, 200 and something goals. Ian Wright was different. Ian Wright, we could be under the cosh in a game, clear the ball up front to the halfway line. He would beat two players and chip the goalie. I don't know too many players when I was playing that could do that. And he could put it about as well. For the size of him, he would say, I'll see you after. And he would walk in the lounge and look for the player.
Yeah.
And go, let's go. And they go, what? And they go, well, you told me you wanted to do it after the game. Let's go. Like, I'd never seen anybody do that. I've seen players square up and go, I'll see you after. And they're all cuddling and kissing each other after the game. Not Wrighty. Unbelievable. He was going to rip my head off one day at Forest away because I never passed him the ball. I don't know what happened. I went through and I shot and he said, you should have passed. And I just went, oh, F off, Wrighty. And he went ballistic. I mean, ballistic at the highest level. But he was a winner. I couldn't talk highly enough of Ian Wright. He's one of my favourite players to play with, without a doubt.
I mean, I remember working with him not so long ago now, and we were doing a commercial with Wrighty, Paddy McGuinness and me. And it had gone for 2 days, and it was sort of 7 o'clock in the evening on the second day, and we'd done 100 takes of the last shot, and the director said, we'll just do it one more time, and Wrighty just exploded. He said, no, we fucking won't. You've got it. That's it. That's a wrap. Come on, boys. We're out of here. And of course, me and Paddy were hugging him, it was fantastic. So I imagine in the dressing room, I mean, he had some clashes with Bruce Rioch, didn't he? So I guess you had to be a pretty good man manager to look after him.
Yeah, he couldn't cope with him. Couldn't cope with Wrighty. No, he come. Bruce was a hard man as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, when he played as well, he was a hard man, but he couldn't get Wrighty. Wrighty didn't have him. They clashed all the time. I think the day when he told Wrighty that John McGinley would have scored that goal, I think that was the last straw. Yeah, and that was it with Wrighty. He weren't having Bruce at all, not one, not even a little bit after that. He was sitting next to me and he went, who's John McGinley? And I went, he plays for Bolton. And he went, what? And he got up, he took his clothes off, he walked to the thing, and Bruce Rock was going, where are you going? And he just went, fuck off. And he just walked and had a shower, and that was it. He had it with him. He was like, he had a massive opinion, but Wrighty could carry it out. Honestly, I couldn't. He's probably the best centre forward I ever played with, and I play with Shearer, and I mean his goal scoring record talks for itself. But Wrighty had every goal in the locker, every single goal in the locker. He would play against Des Walker, and Des Walker would have him in his pocket every minute of the game, and Wrighty began, I will get a chance, Des. I'll get a chance, Des. And he would score he would always score against him. And then we'd play against other teams and he would begin, give us the ball, Mercy. Shit. Look, he's shitting himself. The centre-half's going, he ain't got a clue what he's talking about. And he would just dominate players. He was so confident. I never had that confidence. Even when he had the worst game in the world, he knew he was going to score a goal.
So let's just get this clear, because the BBC boys wouldn't forgive me if I didn't just have you put this on the record. Ian Wright was better than Alan Shearer in your view?
Yeah, a better footballer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. A better footballer. Different players in a way, but Alan Shearer was like more of a target man, strong, go through, and He was very physical, very strong, harder than what people. I don't know if people thought, but he was really hard. Like I played against him in centre halves and he was solid, scored goals, but he wasn't going to beat two players from the halfway line. Do you know what I mean? He just wasn't that kind of player. You know, I would go with Ian Wright.
Let's move on to number 2. Familiar name, and you know, and somebody I think is often underestimated.
Definitely.
And that's Wayne Rooney. And you look at his record, and it's beyond belief, you know. And I often think, I don't know if you agree, Johnny. I often think if he'd been from overseas, if he'd been South American, if he'd been European, people would think, wow, he is one of the greatest ever. And maybe he doesn't always get that accolade.
Yeah, I don't know why. There's no player that doesn't give him that level of appreciation.
Yeah.
No footballer would have played with or against Wayne Rooney and not recognised he is the best English player, the best English striker. But yeah, he could do everything, and he was the first person I came across that I thought wanted to win more than I did. Like, I knew I wanted to win, and then I came against Cross Wayne, and I was like, he needs to win. Like, he really needs to win, like, more. And I was like, that was a different mentality, but on top of that, his ability was stupid. Like, stupidly good. His performance against France, was it 2004? I still think that's the best performance I've seen from an England player. There may have been better before that, but I've obviously privy to watch. But the one I can remember, that performance against that France team when they had their superstars, Wayne Rooney.
So he gave you some difficult times, did he?
For a variety of reasons. Verbals, physical challenges, goals he scored. Someone that wanted to make it uncomfortable for me. So when I was in possession, like, would enjoy that side of it as much as scoring. Just everything. You never come off the pitch against Wayne not tired, physically or mentally. It was just a full 90 minutes. So for whatever mood he was in, and again the game when he scored the overhead kick, he wasn't even playing that well. But again, he has the capabilities to do that. So remarkable talent.
And I don't mean it disrespectfully, but he was a little bull, wasn't he, as well?
Oh yeah,
you know?
That's what I mean. He was everything you'd want someone to be. He could play as a number 9 out and have the mentality to score the goals, or he could drop in, or he could do the work. And I think that was his makeup, and probably the lack of appreciation for him was that he wanted to do everything as well as score. I think if he just wanted to score, he would have scored a hatful more goals, and probably been recognised a bit more. But Wayne played for the love of the game, his love for football and his will to win. So whatever the team needed, whether it was track the fullback, play on the left wing or the right wing, and stop their best player, he would do that. And as long as the team won and he enjoyed playing, then that's what he wanted.
So Rooney's a little bull. Didier Drogba was a bit bigger.
Drogzilla.
Yeah. Who's the stronger? Is that what you called him, Drogzilla?
Drogzilla, that was his nickname, that's
right,
his nickname,
yeah. Who was the stronger?
Different types of strength. Tenacious Wazza was more. He was, you could think you've got rid of him and then he's coming back and he's back. So you probably not got rid of him until the ball's gone. Pure strength would be Drogba. But again, that was something I enjoyed. So
you relished that, yeah.
Yeah, I fancied myself whenever that challenge came upon us. But yeah, probably strength, like visual strength, you would say Drogba.
Do you think it helped that Sir Alex was his manager at the time as well, because he got him, he knew what Wayne was about?
Yeah, the experience of Sir Alex having managed unique talents and personalities like that obviously helps, and obviously the fact that it was Sir Alex helped Wayne understand that there's a level of respect you have to have for a manager as well, and he probably had that. So yeah, I don't think there was a better match for both of them, really.
Coming soon, football's greatest eras with Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes, a new show where the pair tell their best stories about Manchester United's greatest period.
I'm Nicky Butt.
And I'm Paul Scholes.
This is our new show
where we take you inside the greatest era,
under the greatest manager,
at the best club in the world.
Come with us inside the dressing rooms and onto the pitch. I think I was the only person in Premier League history to score a goal and run off and the camera go on Eric. The camera go on Eric.
As we tell you all about our teammates and the rivalries.
I'm pretty sure that was the game where Robbie Fowler scored the goal and not Gary off the ball.
I mean, Nev, what's he doing? I mean, we know Rob is a great lad, unbelievable player, but Nev's got just what's Nev doing? I mean, he's just fell
He
down
got
like
himself in that wrong position.
fell down like an 82-year-old on his Zimmer frame.
This is football's greatest eras.
We might come round to Stuart Pearce. He might figure in your top five. Who've got number 5?
I would say Stuart, because that was my first one really I came across that was, that frightened me a little bit.
You see, you had some tough guys in your team at the time as well, didn't we? Mention Franny, you had Jimmy Case there.
Well, that game, I mean, that game in that first half when Jimmy was brilliant in our team because he was like our minder because we had quite a young forward line in those days, and so he would like kind of protect us from the other opposition. Normally, if somebody like give you a bit of a smack, he'd just take a note of their number and like a couple of minutes later you'd see him smash him off the ball somewhere, and you could get away with it in those days because there was only one camera at the ground, so he could do whatever he wanted. But that particular game, I remember just jogging inside to him where he was playing centre mid and just going, I said, Jim, it's 3 times Stuart's done me already today, and he just looked at me and he went, not today, son, not today. I thought, yeah, that Stuart Pearce is quite hard, isn't he?
Yeah, well, anybody who's got the nickname of Psycho,
yeah,
you're not going to look forward to playing against, are you?
No, absolutely. And we had actually a guy when I first got into the Southampton team, similar, same nickname, was a guy called Mark Dennis, who I'm sure you'll remember very well, who I was very pleased I was on the same side as him. However, I did. A couple of seasons later, he left and went to join QPR, and I played against him at QPR, and that was a little bit scary as well. He had the longest metal studs in his boots of any player I've ever seen.
Yeah, when Stuart Pearce says in his biography, he says, when he crossed the white line, he was always in control. Did it strike you that way?
I'd probably disagree with that on some occasions, although, in fairness to him, Stuart was always very, I say fair. He would always try to take the ball as well as the man. Do you know what I mean? He was very good at it. He didn't really he wasn't like a sneaky off the ball type defender who I'll come to in a minute with one of the other players that I mentioned in my list. He was kind of in your face, and he was hard and he was tough and he would go through you, but he would go for the ball as well. But he would think nothing of taking you out at the same time. I mean, a lot of the tackles that Stuart made back in the day, nowadays, when you see people getting off for winning the ball and then following through and getting the player, Stuart would have had quite a lot of red cards, I would say, for that kind of thing. He was very good at getting both.
Did you actually have a sort of grudging admiration for him in a sense? Because he'd come from a non-league background.
Absolutely.
And he went on to captain his club, captain his country as well.
Absolutely, I did. Because he wasn't just a hard bloke. He also was very good as an attacking fullback. There was some seasons he was scoring, a phenomenal amount of goals. He had this thing where he just drive forward. And he'd knock the ball to Nigel Clough and he would just carry on running, and Nigel Clough had the vision to be able to get the ball back to him, and they had a cracking partnership there. So yeah, I had a lot of admiration for Stuart as a footballer, definitely. Of
course, you had something else in common with Stuart Pearce because, like you, he didn't go to the 1998 World Cup under Glenn Hoddle.
That's true, yeah. And what I did have huge admiration for him for was the penalty against Spain in the Euros in '96, when he'd had the heartbreak of what happened in 1990, and I think the reaction when he scored that goal is just something that is imprinted in most English football fans' minds.
Well, the entire nation reacted the same way.
Exactly right. We did in front of the telly, and so yeah, a huge respect for Stuart as a man as well. And again, the last few years I've seen him a fair bit around. One of the nicest blokes you could meet.
If I take you right back to 1994, Jurgen Klinsmann turns up at White Hart Lane to play for a Spurs side that were very average at the time. I think they finished 15th the season before he arrived. Here he is, a World Cup winner, played for some of the greatest teams in world football. Were you surprised when Jurgen decided to come to England to play for Spurs?
I mean, Jurgen is a very emotional player. He was it on the pitch and off the pitch, and he's very smart in terms of making decisions. And I'm 100% sure he knew what he was doing at this time because his style of play suits the Premier League. And the Premier League, I think, wanted someone like him. I remember when he scored the first goal, and he was always a bit criticized for falling too quick, and he did this dive, and immediately he was into the hearts of the fans, you know, and that was Jurgen, and that suits really well his style of play again. And of course, if you sign these kind of players, it makes a huge difference with the whole club. We see that with Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool. You know, sometimes one guy is really charismatic, can change something. He can create something in the club. And I remember Jurgen did that with Tottenham at this time.
Yeah, I remember. Obviously, everybody in England remembers the dive when he scored against Sheffield Wednesday, and all the players diving as well. Which I think Teddy Sheringham had come up with the idea and said, if you score, dive, and we'll all dive with you. And it certainly earned him immediately a place in the hearts of the English football public. But in Germany, was he regarded as something? Obviously, he was regarded as a brilliant player. But was he regarded as something of a trailblazer as well, by the fact that he wasn't the first to come to England, but, to make such an impact?
Of course, I mean, if you're such a big player for Germany, which he was, winning the World Cup, there's always a special focus on these players, especially when they join another league, because you present also your country, especially the big players, and that's what he did. But he was always seen a bit or he was criticized in a certain way because he was maybe not this great technical player, but he had different strength, and that's what I described when I say this suits perfectly this British football, this English football, and maybe he saw it. That's why he did it, and that was totally the right move for him. But also coming back to represent Germany abroad, I felt this as well when I joined the Premier League. You get a different view on yourself, but also for yourself, it's a totally new way of life, because it's a different culture, even if it's not far. And when you see the style of football, German, English, it's not so different. But in a way, with the fans, with everything, it is different. And so that's why I think it become also a different view for the German fans on English football when Jurgen joined it.
Now, thanks for watching Football's Greatest on YouTube. But can I ask you please to hit that subscribe button? That way you won't miss any of our future episodes, and we have some great guests coming up on the show.